Welcome to the On Stage podcast, where we interview musicians and members of the entertainment community. I want to thank you for watching another podcast on this channel. We have, I guess we can just say that you're just the band itself. You're Steam Slicer himself.
Yeah, there's
So it's not
not
like
not
we're
much
expecting
more
anybody
coming.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Steam Slicer and the lead of Steam Slicer is a progressive heavy metal band, and his name is Joel, and he's literally just a solo project from Heidelberg, Germany. And the power of Mother Earth, nature's rough beauty, and its ability to create and take life is inspiration to Mr. Joel de Blois. Did I say it right?
Very
Blois?
good. Yeah, yeah, it's
I'm
French.
good
Yeah.
with my French sometimes.
Nice, very good.
So he started the project in early 2002, and we're going to ask him. We're going to ask you about your mixed heavy riffs with atmospheric and progressive parts to create high energy music that lasts until the end of time. Now, Joel, thank you for being with us on the On State podcast. And first of all, welcome. And we actually like to ask you. So, whatever made you want to get into developing and inventing a heavy metal project called Steam Slicer? Where did the band's name come from, and what's the story behind it?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity for me. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Um, yeah, I make music for about like 20 years now, and it's always been metal music, mostly death metal, melodic death metal, so a little bit more aggressive actually than Steam Slicer is. The last couple of years, I was not making too much, just a little bit here and there. And nothing really has been released, so I was just doing this as a hobby. And then, yeah, in early 22, I got the news that I would become a father for the first time, and that was crazy for me. And I needed some kind of output to, deal with my with all the emotions, with
Oh,
all the feelings I had.
don't tell
And
me you named your child Steam Slicer.
no, 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 no. Yeah, I get to that name later. No, it was yeah, I needed some kind of output, and I started just jamming on the guitar, and I didn't have the thought to make a project out of this. It just happened to fall into place, and I thought, okay, why not? Let's just try to release this stuff. And the first idea was, because I'm not very good with words, I'm better with music and expressing myself through music. Um, I thought I would capture something that I could give my son in, I don't know, in 20 years or something, when he's ready to listen to music like this. um, that I can give him something and tell him that's how I felt just before you were born. And yeah, that's the main inspiration, or the main reason why I started this project in the first place. And yeah, as I said, I just started jamming and recorded like 30 minutes, 1 hour takes, just jamming on the guitar. And I took the best bits out of there, and thought, okay, maybe I can do some stuff. I can build some songs around it. I wanted to have them instrumental in the first place, but then it turned out that vocals were missing, so I had to do that myself as well. Which I'm not super happy about, because I'm not the greatest singer, but I couldn't get someone else to join this project, because it's so personal. It's just about my feelings and my family and everything. And this is I had to do it myself. So yeah, so I had to start singing as well. And yeah, that's how the first EP came, or fell into place, more or less. And yeah, I thought, okay, this nowadays you can put your music on Spotify and wherever. And I thought, okay, let's do that. And I made a couple of CDs, and the first one is in the shelf. It's for my son when he's ready, and then let's see where Steam Slicer goes then.
Yeah, that's excellent because that LP, everyone, is called Echoes of Infinity, and we will link some music down below. Also, if you go to Spotify, you get several Lifelong, Intense, Infinity, Emerge, Singularity, and Alive, right? So those are
Yeah,
good
those are
songs.
the five songs. Yeah.
I'd be interested in knowing why, like, several people just say, okay, I want to develop music, but it'd be like classical or pop, or they just have some excellent music, like, I don't know, like sort of pop or sorry, it's so early in the morning.
Oh, good.
Why heavy metal? I mean, like, you could have done
Mm.
any type of genre.
Yeah, heavy metal always has been for me very fascinating because it's not about aggression. It's about capturing capturing energy for me. And of course I can totally um, I could dance and run around to EDM music, to whatever, but metal was always, and it had that kind of climax in it. It's just a very high powered music, and this has always fascinated me. And when I started making music, I just bought a guitar, and I didn't know what to do. Tried to play the first thing that was easy to play. That was AC/DC and Nirvana, because they just use power chords and stuff, and it wasn't very technical. But then I got into more complex stuff, more heavier stuff, because I was fascinated how much energy you can put into music, and not just stupid screaming and blasting some stuff, but that even
More like
you have
Black
grindcore
Sabbath.
bands where you think, wow, there's so much energy in there, and it makes sense.
Mm.
It's not just like slamming stuff. And yeah, it's fascinating for me. And I always I calm down when I hear heavy metal somehow. I used it to fall asleep when I was younger. I was listening to Pantera and Slayer to fall asleep. I don't know
Oh, wow.
if that's a good thing, but it had a very calming effect on me, and even though it's so high, or it's so energetic music. And yeah, that's why there was no other chance doing any other genre than metal. And it was, and when I was a teenager, it was more death metal and melodic death metal. But now I kind of gotten a little calmer and going more into progressive stuff. It just developed like that. I don't know. I don't even know why exactly, but I'm still into heavier stuff and blast beats and breakdowns. I love that.
Hmm.
But for the music I do myself, it's more like a mellower stuff.
What do you think is the difference between? Now, I asked several heavy metal artists this question. What do you think is the difference between death metal and heavy metal? Is there a difference at all?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. It's darker. It's well, I would consider myself heavy metal is stuff like Black Sabbath, and if you compare that to, I don't know, In Flames. I don't know if you know the band, but there's definitely, you hear that even if you don't know anything about heavy metal. It's just the guitars are tuned lower, the vocals are lower. It's growls and screams. And in heavy metal, I would say it's more like a clean vocal style. And in death metal, it's more growling and screaming. And yeah, it's just heavier in all all the parts. I would say, the drumming is more intense. It's faster. It's louder. I think it's hard to talk about genres and how you would describe them. I don't like to describe my music actually as progressive metal or whatever other people said it's progressive, and I would just say it's heavy metal. I'm doing metal music, and but people need genres. People need to put you somewhere, and that's okay. But it's hard for me to talk about where are the differences, because every band sounds different in a lot of ways. And I was never the guy who said I'm only listening to grindcore or to this. I listen to bands, and if I like them, I like them, and if not, then not. And it doesn't matter what genre that is.
So would you consider Black Sabbath death metal and AC/DC progressive metal, and
No, not at all.
Quiet Riot heavy metals? So how do you tell the difference? Like if I were to listen to, like I know, like when I was doing my job one evening, during the day, all you heard was somebody put on music, and all you heard was it was just screaming, and lots of like someone's taking baseballs and baseball bats and hitting this metal wall, and then you hear a little bit of these like these, and I'm thinking, what group is that? Turn it off. They said, oh, that's Tool.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay. But I know that Black Sabbath is Ozzy Osbourne's band, but Ozzy Osbourne had has a really nice solo tune called Dreamer. Have you ever heard of it? So if a heavy metal or death metal band decides to just write a nice, pure, sweet tune, are they still heavy metal?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that those or this the particular song you say or you mentioned is heavy metal, but it's from a heavy metal artist. And this is I think that's the problem with the whole genre and putting it into some category. For some artists it might be they might have a good idea on a song, but then they say, oh no, it's not heavy enough. It's not what we used to do, and it keeps you from being free in a sense, and I think, of course, you hear differences when you compare a death metal band and a heavy metal band. There's the speed, lots of death metal bands are very fast and very loud, and most typical heavy metal bands, I would say, are not that fast and have clean vocals and everything. And it's the same with Tool. They is that a heavy metal band? Is it a hard rock band? Is it just a progressive whatever band? I don't know. I like them, and it's really sometimes unfair to put them into categories, and because then you have to invent new genres if it doesn't fit anywhere. And there was always a problem I had with those genres, because you try too much being in that genre if you make music, instead of just making music and out comes whatever comes. And this is it's an ongoing discussion. I know there are some people who say I'm only listening to brutal rap metal or whatever, and that's okay too, I guess, but it would take away the freedom of listening and making music for me.
Okay, what if I take Every Time by Britney Spears and someone creates a heavy metal version of it? What would make Every Time by Britney Spears a heavy metal version? Simply, do you have to use different like instruments? Like, what is the main instrument that makes it heavy metal?
that makes it heavy metal, I would say distorted guitars. That's the main thing, and an acoustic drum set, not electronic drums. That's the two main things, I guess. You could keep her voice, and so you can recognize the song. And if you put, distorted guitars and the bass in the background and some faster drums, then it would be a good metal song. Yeah,
No,
that
you
could
could be
work.
right. I'm not familiar with the genre. I know Quiet Riot, Metallica, all them, and people are
Mm.
familiar whether they say it's Def. It's sort of like you'll say Def Leppard, a heavy metal band, or is Quiet Riot a death metal band? So it's sort of like depending on the sound. Like classical music is just a lot of pianos and
Mm.
violins, and opera is more like two instruments like violin. And if you want to make it more heavy metal, like Nessun Dorma, if you want to make that a heavy
Mm.
metal, be like Nessun Dorma, and the
Yeah,
screaming
classical
and everything.
music and metal are not that far away, actually. And Beethoven was considered the first metal guy, in, because he was just doing melodies that could very easily be adapted in metal.
So, Joel, what is your creative process like? For instance, when you make a new song such as Lifelong, when you started to create this song Lifelong or Intense Infinity or even Alive, um, how did you know? Like, how did you know to go from the beginning to the end of the song, add the lyrics, and how did you know it was completed?
With Alive is kind of a outlier there because it's longer, but the other two songs, it was the main riff that in the beginning. There's always one riff for me, that, and then I kind of built the song around that riff, and usually I try not to focus so much on structure, that this riff has to come then, and then it has to be a chorus and a verse and whatever. I try to make it as it feels, if it feels good to put a chorus there and a second one, then it's good, and if not, then I'm good with that as well. But usually, yeah, it's one riff, and then I try to make a song around, or build a song around that you would listen to if you were not me. It's something that I think and every song needs some kind of structure, so that you are not confused when you listen to it. And with Alive, that's kind of has kind of two parts. The beginning is very very dark and almost doomy guitars and drone guitars. I was fiddling around with a new plugin, and I thought that would fit or would suit the song if that would be in front of the actual song, and try to connect those two things. And yeah, I like to build up, to a certain riff or a certain phrase or something that is kind of a climax in a song. And sometimes that build up just takes 10 seconds, and sometimes it's 10 minutes. So I always try to have one thing in the song that stands out, that you remember, and that's kind of how I do or try how I do it.
What instruments have you learned, and what instruments have you used in creating, for instance, Singularity? Uh,
I've learned. I'm actually a drummer, and I played in a death metal band as a drummer, and before that as a bassist. But then our drummer quit, and somebody had to do it, so I tried it, and it worked out pretty good. And then after that band, and it kind of fallen apart, and as life goes, I didn't have time to
mhm.
have rehearsals every now and then, and so it was kind of a necessity for me because I wanted to make music, but I just didn't have a lot of time. So I tried to pick up the guitar again and just tried jamming, and I teached all the stuff myself. So I never went to someone who actually told me what I should do there. But yeah, so my main instrument would be drums, and then the guitar, and the bass just was, it's a guitar with thicker with thicker strings, and so that worked out pretty good as well. And yeah, in Singularity, it's just guitars, bass, and drums. I think there's not much more in there. I'm always thinking about using some synthesizers, but I haven't quite found the right sound. I think it could be beneficial for some of my songs, but we'll see, maybe on the next record.
So what's your favorite brand of guitar? I noticed you had a couple behind you. There's a Gibson, Taylor, Stratocaster, Vantage.
Those are both Ibanez guitars, or Ibanez. The bass and the electric guitar. Those are the two guitars I use the most. I have a couple of more, but they're just for fun. And it's just a basic Stratocaster thing for me. I don't need too much. I'm not a live musician, I don't want to show off or something. I'm just doing the stuff in this room here, and so it has to be practical, and it doesn't look very fancy or has shiny or something. It's very dusty, actually. So I don't have a favorite brand or things like this. The guitar I got as a gift from a fellow guitarist, and the bass was actually the cheapest thing I could afford, like 15 years ago. So, and I still have it, and it's awesome. So I didn't need any new kind of bass. So
Well, we have a music store down here. I'm in Toronto, Canada, of course, and we're 6 hours behind you. So, as everyone knows, and the place is called Long and McQuaid. So, shout out to Long and McQuaid's. What they are is they're a company that every room has a different instrument, and there's a whole wall. And I shot a video of a whole wall of Gibsons, Taylors, Vantage, and they all have different price range. And the most expensive guitar I saw there was $6,000.
Wow.
And the most cheapest bass guitar, and I believe it's bass guitar because bass guitars have 4 strings. It could be electric guitar, but it was still like $500. So if someone handed you a $500 bass guitar and handed you a $7,000 Gibson, and they played it, could you tell which is the most cheapest one, which one is the most expensive one, simply by them playing it?
I think you would notice the difference, yeah. And I think I could. I have not the best ears, but there is definitely a difference between that price range that you just mentioned. It's especially in acoustic guitars, you notice a $50 guitar and a $5,000 guitar. You notice that just from looking at it, actually. And with electric guitars, of course, they have different pickups, and the quality is just better. A lot of it is strings as well, but I think the wood that has been used, you hear the difference, yeah. And I think even for someone who is not into guitars that much, that would notice a difference in the sound. And of course, there are guitars that worth 50,000. I think that's a little bit too far, but the difference between 500 and 5,000, I would say that you would recognize that. Yeah. If you need that, I don't know. You can still make good music with cheap instruments, but you notice a difference.
Would you notice a different sound depending whether the guitar was made out of pine or is made out of fiberglass, or what I've seen someone who actually created and built a Lego guitar, a guitar made
Cool,
of Lego,
yeah.
and was able to play it too.
Mm.
What do you think of those strange looking ones?
Yeah, that's cool. I saw that too. That there was some guy doing a guitar out of pencils, I think it was. Just gluing pencils together and then,
Yeah.
made the guitar shape. was kind of cool. So that works as well, and it looks cool. I would like to play stuff like this, especially the Lego kind of thing, because I don't know if they glued it together or if you could take it apart. I don't know. Would be interesting to hear that. Yeah, definitely.
So that's interesting. Wow. So what kind of like I know that this besides the instruments, you also have the speakers and you also have the devices to create the sound. I guess am I in the impression that there's a company called PV? Am I
Mhm.
understanding that you use PV products?
I have a PV speaker here. I didn't use that one for the EP, but it's the first and only thing I ever got for electric guitar, and as it's very good. It's it's like I just bought it yesterday. The thing is great. I could highly recommend that brand actually. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole guitars and strings is a whole thing where you could talk to freaks for hours about what is the right thing to use for what kind of music. And then if you go into the studio, you have microphones, and that is a new thing that opens up. And this is stuff where you could easily spend a fortune on that stuff. But if you don't know how to use it, then it still does not sound good. So
I know exactly what you mean. I had this
yeah.
really cheap microphone that I bought from a reputable company, not Long and McQuaid's, in case they want to sponsor me. um, but I was using the microphone connected to my iPhone and using it to sing and whatever, but it was crappy. So what I
Mhm.
do is I would just unplug it and it would just be aesthetic. So people saw me using it, but really it was the microphone from the headset. But now I
Okay.
have these ones here, which I got
Mhm.
from Amazon. This one's from Amazon. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And when I first got it, I was going, so tell me, what is your that like, right up. But now I realize
Yeah.
that after so much time, if I
Yeah.
just
You don't.
speak about here, the sound of my voice comes out better than it does.
Mm.
So tell me, Joe,
Yeah.
what. So you just got to
Yeah.
know where to place the mouth. So it's phenomenal microphone. And
Mhm.
I also got, you're not going to believe this, but from Amazon, I got this, and this goes the lightning in the back of the iPhone,
Ah,
and you
okay.
and you get two of these. They're Wi-Fi, and I
Oh,
tested
crazy.
them out, and the microphone is incredible. And if I want,
Nice.
these are for actually in-person interviews.
Mhm.
So it's like if I was there in Heidelberg, like or in your living room there,
Yeah.
checking out your guitars and playing them, and look, I'm Ozzy Osbourne, and breaking guitars against the wall.
I
I would
will
be
see
giving
about
you this one.
that.
I would be giving you this one, and I would use the other one. And the sound on these are excellent. Everyone,
Mhm.
these are from Amazon. They're actually pretty good, and it gives you. It's called the 13022K2 microphone. So these are actually really good. So I'm glad I got those. So you can get some really good stuff from Amazon.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy nowadays that
yep,
the quality of that stuff just is
yep.
it's phenomenal. Like you couldn't believe that stuff like 10 years ago. It made a huge jump, that stuff.
Yeah. So, but I love this microphone and I love the way it's connected. It looks more like podcasty, but I have used this one, which is a second one for singing.
Mhm.
And I'm going to try to release a Christmas song, and I'm going to try to release an Italian song I wrote of my dad. It's easy. All you do is you write a song and you have it translated in Italian. That's all you do.
Okay.
It's not that bad. I mean,
Mhm.
if you know the song Nessun Dorma,
Yeah.
Nessun Dorma from Tosca, from
Mhm.
Turandot, from Puccini, right? There's actually an English version, and all Nessun Dorma means is None shall sleep tonight. That's all it is.
Okay.
And I also heard the English version of Ave Maria, but I digress. Okay, we're talking about you now, Joe. We're talking about heavy metal. If you can do a heavy metal version of Ave Maria, that'd be your best friend.
That would be cool,
um,
yeah.
but can you give me another, like, what other bands or artists do you draw inspiration from?
The biggest one would be Pantera. That is,
Pantera.
yeah, that is just when I was a teenager. I have an older brother. He's 4 years older, and he provided me with the newest music
Nice.
when I was like 13, 14 years. And yeah, and one day he brought Vulgar Display of Power, just the greatest album I think there ever will be, probably. And
Wow.
that stuff kind of stuck to me. It was so powerful. It was the heaviest stuff I've ever heard until then. And yeah, I until now I love that band, and the especially the drumming and the guitar playing of the Abbott brothers was very much an inspiration for me all my life. And this is actually a band where I can't say that they have a bad record or a bad song. I think it's a great. It's exactly. If I could, I would do exactly that music, but it has been written before, so there's no sense in doing that. Um, yeah, it's definitely Pantera, and then a lot of melodic or melodic death metal bands, like In Flames, and the Black Dahlia Murder is more like a faster stuff with a lot of blast beats, which is not necessarily about the music itself, but the energy they create. And I've seen them live a lot of times, and just their stage presence is enormous. And this is something that is very important for me. I like to have a look at the bands, see them perform live, and because that's two different things, listening to a record and going to a live show. And you could have the greatest record at home, but if you don't perform well live, it's yeah, for me that's important. So I would say Pantera, and yeah, a lot of melodic death metal bands, and lately Tool is a big influence for me, as well as Gojira. It's a French metal band. They go in the same direction as Pantera for me. It's that they have such an unique sound, and they just sound badass to me. And yeah, I love them.
Wow, it's like them thing Pantera reached all the way to Germany and Black Sabbath and all those other heavy metal bands. Don't think there's ever a place in the world where you can go up to and say, "Hey, do you like AC/DC?" And someone say, "Who? Oh,
Yeah,
who?"
I don't think that's
Because
possible. Yeah.
every like you can go to places in Holland or you can go to Poland, you can go to Krakow,
Mhm.
you can go to Scotland and say, "Hey, what do you think of Ozzy Osbourne?" "Oh, I love Ozzy Osbourne. I love Black
Yeah.
Sabbath." You won't get like Ozzy who? Ozzy
Mhm.
Osbourne. Who's that? You'll never get that. I've talked to people who were like 20, 30 years younger than me and say, so what do you think of Elvis Presley? And they're like, who?
Oh, that's sad.
And then yeah, and then you mention someone from the 50s and they're like, "Oh, I love them." I'm like, "But you don't
Okay.
know Elvis Presley?"
Yeah,
You
there's a
know?
huge gap then there.
Yeah. Um, Joel, yes. Oh, everyone, before we continue, Joel, or sorry, Steam Slicer has another full-length album called what is it, Devenir? Is it
Yeah,
Devenir?
Devenir. It's a
Devenir being
French word.
released on November 3rd. So check it out. It'll be on Spotify and all other platforms. And check out his um, check out his EP Echoes of Infinity, especially Lifelong and Emerge. Are you familiar with our Facebook group called Band Together, which is one from Christina from Vox and Sticks,
Yeah.
and we all promote each other.
Mhm.
And I can't believe what they do for everyone. It's just amazing. Um, So I really appreciate that. Appreciate you reaching out. So I'm gonna ask you, like I ask everyone else, because I always get a different answer, and I really appreciate everyone's answer. I'm thinking, Joel, what do you think about the current state of the music industry today? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
AI? Is it the fact that that you can produce a song and release a song by an artist who's been dead 10 years ago, and it's
Mm.
an AI clone voice?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. I don't think that AI is such a big problem yet. Who knows what will come? I think it's a tool you could use to, yeah, make music, to get inspired. I think more a bigger threat for the whole music industry is stuff like Spotify, and everyone, including myself, wants to get on Spotify because everyone's using it, but you're not getting anything back. Actually, it's
I know.
it's crazy because like, let's say 30, 40 years ago, I couldn't have done what I'm doing now. Nobody would have heard my stuff, and I would have had to go to labels, ask them if they could, make a CD
Mhm.
and promote it. And now I just go to DistroKid or whatever distributor, and they put my stuff in the internet, and now you are listening to it in Toronto,
Mhm.
which is great, which is awesome, and I'm very thankful for that. That my music's been played almost all around the world. But if you compare it, what you invest and what you get back, it doesn't add up. The numbers don't add up, and that's why it's so important for independent musicians to support each other and to drag everyone else up. Like in that group, Band Together, it's a fantastic group,
Mhm.
and I couldn't believe what is happening there. Actually, I was
Mhm.
really blown away what's happening there, and yeah, I think it will take another couple of years probably before indie artists will say, okay, I'm not going to Spotify, I'm just using something else. But this is it's going to be very hard so that everyone joins in this thing, and makes it possible for indie artists to get something back.
Are you?
So it's hard in the music industry right
Mhm.
now. Either you're very big or you're nothing.
Mhm. That's exactly right. You want to put new musicians and bands in there because people like AC/DC, Black Sabbath, they're going to all age out, and
Mm.
people are going to listen to music way after they're gone, but they want to listen to new stuff. Like, let's check out Seam Slicer. What's this one? Echoes of Infinity. What's that one about? What's Devenir about? Oh, wow, that was released 20 years, 30 years ago. Wow, look, wow, Joel de Blois, he's great. I mean, we had Grimrock on our podcast a few days
Mhm,
ago, and
cool. Yeah.
he's a super guy, and he'll do
Mhm.
more for you than any of these big music labels. Plus, what you do is like you really just don't use producers, record producers, music promoters. It's just you, the artist, and you're the one that gets full use and full control of your music. I'm not
Mhm.
familiar with rapper Tom McDonald, but he uh, he produces his own music. He sells and creates his own CDs. He sends them to his fans, and he has two great songs: "End of the World," which is a duet with country artist and
Mhm.
a rapper and a country artist, John Rich, and a new one he released called "American Flags," which isn't bad. So he's doing everything right, and also. Um, if they really like your music, get someone to push it out there. So Steam Slicer, you could get instead of 1,000 streams for your song, you could be getting 1 billion streams, like
Mhm.
"Toxic" by Britney Spears. And I'm pretty sure that song has been covered several times, even a heavy metal version. I think I've heard, but I heard a really sweet guitar version. Sometimes the cover version is better than the original. Um, but what advice would you give to new bands just starting? Let's say someone came up to you and say, "Hey, Steam Slicer, I love your music. I want to do the same thing you do. What's the first thing I should do so I can be a big heavy metaler just like you?
Yeah, that would be crazy if someone would come to me and ask for that.
Like their first
But
choice.
I would just say, do it. Just make music. Start creating stuff. Express yourself, and this is just you. And that's what I love about indie bands. They make the music mostly for themselves, and not for a crowd of a billion people, and they don't have to meet some kind of criteria for their next record. They don't have to fulfill wishes from a label or whatever. They just do whatever they want, and I think you hear that. Of course, it's not sometimes not as brilliantly produced as you would hear somewhere else, but from a bigger artist. But I think you hear the difference in the songs themselves. And I've stumbled upon some great artists in the last couple of months, in that group band together, where I'm amazed and shocked, actually, that those people, they have 50 monthly listeners on Spotify. They're great musicians, really good music, but nobody knows. And this is it's crazy. Yeah, what was the question? Sorry. I kind of gotten into that.
Yeah, well, someone came up to you and said, "I want to do what you do. How
Oh
can I
yeah,
become a
exactly.
great
Yeah, sorry.
heavy metaler?"
Yeah, just doing it, and not doing it for someone else. Just do it for yourself. Just express yourself how you want to, or don't think about anyone else when you create music. Just make it sound like you want to make it. You want it to sound, and then great stuff comes out, and then people will listen to it. They will like it because they know it's authentic. And yeah, just first of all, yeah, making the music, and then connecting with other indie musicians that are in the same kind of place. It's great to see other people having the same questions and the same struggles sometimes as an indie artist, as the same as you have. That's great to have like a little community there, where you can engage and yeah, just discover new music. That's awesome. It's just awesome.
So I take it that heavy metal music is what you gravitate to, but what would be on your current playlist? Is it all heavy metal, or do you consider listening to just regular genres like pop and classical just to settle
No,
yourself?
not much pop music, but I listen to a lot of classical music, and a lot of yeah, a little electronic music, laid back, chilled out electronic music, if you would call it like that. And but it's, like 10 years ago I would have said it's only metal, but now I'm very open, what the genres are. I there's very little genres I don't like, or music I don't like. It's mostly the stuff that you hear on the bigger radio stations, and whatever, MTV and stuff like that, because that is music that it's mostly not so authentic in my opinion. And of course it can be, and there is, but most of it's made for other people. And yeah, I like the authentic artist, and then it really doesn't matter what kind of genre that is. If that's I've gotten into country music lately, which I would have never thought I would be, but it's amazing. There's so many great, very small country musicians, and they're awesome. And I just listen to that stuff, and I like it, and it surprises me sometimes. Yeah.
Do you think there are some genres better than the other?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's not a competition. Music is not a competition. There's no one is better than the other one. It's either you like stuff or you don't like it, but it's not about being better, or it's metal is not better than pop. It's different, and you like it or you don't like it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I was at a karaoke some time ago, and there's a woman who stood up and she started singing the AC/DC song "Highway to Hell." And the way she sang, it's like she could literally be the lead singer of the group.
Yeah.
And I was filming her to be amazed, and then she said, "You should film this couple over here." I look, and there's an elderly couple, probably there to celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary, dancing the Highway to Hell. And I'm like,
Mhm.
"You can't dance to heavy metal. How is this possible?" So, what are your thoughts on that? Is it possible that the heavy metal can be danceable?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it might look weird, but it can be. And it's funny. As you say this with the elderly people, I was at a Slayer concert once. There was this big, or it was a Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax Big Four thing, stadium tour, and they were in Germany, and I went there, and I was mostly looking around and just looking at people. There were like younger kids and old people, and there was this very old lady, which where I thought she was like she was not she didn't belong there. She looked so off there, but she was dancing to "Raining Blood" from Slayer, one of the heaviest thrash metal songs there is, or maybe the best thrash metal song there is. But she was just like dancing like this,
Hmm.
and it could have been a swing song or whatever. It didn't matter, but it fit. It was good, and she was having so much fun. And I was like, okay, cool. So this you don't have to mosh. You don't have to go into the circle pit or whatever. You can stand there and be like this, and that was super fun. So I think that's great. If people want to dance to music, yeah, and they shouldn't be concerned how it looks.
Well, I myself think that only pop tunes and Michael Bublé and some of the others, I think they're more danceable. But
Yeah,
don't
sure, yeah.
think you. I don't think you can literally. I think myself, you can't really dance to heavy metal music. But um, I know some time ago, I think it was Jimmy Page or Robert Plant. I think it was the 75th birthday, or whatever. There was actually a choir, like a classical choir. And guess what song they were singing in front of them? The lead people, Led Zeppelin. What
Hmm.
song they were singing? And actually, I don't like this song done by the group, but I really appreciated what they did. And I really appreciated how they put it all together. Stairway to Heaven.
Nice.
Beautiful
Okay.
version, like a
Hmm.
classical version of the song. It's incredible.
Great. Yeah. Well, that is an
What do you,
amazing song. There, yeah, those are songs that you can. Those are probably they're better than the original then because they have so much. A choir in that song is just amazing. I would like to hear that actually. That's very cool. Yeah.
yeah. So what do you want your fans to expect from the new album Devenir that they didn't get from Echoes of Infinity?
It would be cool to have fans actually, but if there are any, um, yeah, this album is more like it is divided in three bigger parts, and it's a journey. It's about life. It starts at birth and ends in death, and it tells a story of a lifetime, and it's usually, or I thought it would be great if people would sit down and listen to it in one go, in one listening thing. It's almost an hour of music, and I'm very aware that a lot of people do not listen to music like this anymore, because it's the age of streaming, and you listen to one song, and if you make it to the end, then you listen a lot. But it's like a whole one big song, that new album, and I would appreciate if people would take the time to listen to that. It has so much more to offer than the EP, and yeah, it's a very big step for me, like production wise. I put so much more thought into the songs and into vocal melodies and stuff like that. I'm just finishing recording some last vocal bits on that album, and yeah, there were parts where I deleted them 10 times because it wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. And to be honest, I was kind of rushing through the EP because I just wanted to have an output and give people some music, and wanted to finish it. And this one, it almost took me 2 years now to finish that. And yeah, it's a very big thing, and I'm super thankful for everyone who takes the time and listens to whatever music I make. But this one will be very, very special for me, and so if anyone listens to that, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, we'll be linking your Spotify album Echoes of Infinity down below, and also hopefully that when Devenir comes out in November, we can link that too and get people to listen to your music. So do you have any dream collaborators, past or present, that you like to work with in the near future?
It would be cool for to work with some other indie artists, and actually through the Band Together group, I am talking to a lot right now, and it's great to talk to people about music that way. They're in the same kind of place where I am right now, and there might be some stuff going on at the end of the year. I probably can't say who it is, but you will all find out. And there's I'm really looking forward to that, because it's those are artists that do like not the same music that I do, and I'm very excited about what comes out of this collaborations. But other than that, just connecting more with those people, with other indie musicians is a great goal of mine. And then let's see what happens. If I have some ideas for another album, but I need a lot of time for that, and this is now not the best time to do that. So I will see what happens in this year, let's say.
Yeah, I can imagine. We're excited to hear who that is. And then we find out it's the lead singer from Pantera. I'm like, no.
Oh, then yeah, I can message him. Let's see if he answers me.
Yeah. Um, do you think you were just starting late in the game, because it says that you started this band in 2022? What were you doing from 2010, 2011, 2015? What was your issue that you just, okay, hey, it's beginning of 2022. Let's come up with a band. And not
Yeah.
only a band, but a heavy metal one.
Yeah, I when I got into music, I like a year or two after that, I was, I think, 17, 18, something like that. I was in a death metal band, and we played like 3 or 4 years, got some stage experience that was kind of nice. But then we started studying and moving apart, or away from each other, and so that kind of fell apart. And then there was just, there was not the time for me. I always wanted to make music with other musicians, because you create some kind of magic you cannot get when you're a solo musician. I love doing the solo thing because I can do whatever I want, but there's a certain magic when you come together and make music. But it was it was always life that got in the way somehow. That I just recorded some stuff at home, and but it was always like either missing vocals because I can't sing, and or I said it's not good enough to show people. And and it was like 10 years ago. It wasn't that easy like it is today to get your music out there. I could have uploaded it to YouTube or something like this, but I kind of didn't, and there was a lot of time where I just had other things in mind, and I was doing music here and there a little bit, but not very serious. And last year, beginning of last year, then the big news came, and then it was okay. I need to do something, and I need to finish it this time. It was important for me to finish it, to have a record in my hands, an actual physical CD that I can give away and that people can buy if they want to. That was a very big thing for me to actually finish something. That's, I don't know, it took me a lot of time to get to that point where I just said, okay, now I do it, and I do it right.
So what about your significant other? I take it, is she a big heavy metal fan as well?
Not at all, no. She's more into electronic music, but she supports me so much, and I couldn't have done anything like this without her, and I'm super thankful for her. And she always listens to my stuff and tells me where it needs maybe something else. But yeah, she's not a very big heavy metal fan, but she doesn't have to be. She has so many other qualities that I love her for.
I bet you she's into Staruni, because she does a lot of electronica music. We had her on our podcast just recently.
Yeah.
Hannah,
I should show her. Yeah, she is actually very cool. Yeah, I follow her on Facebook as well.
Yeah, I love Staruni. She hopefully I can get her episode out, because she has some really unique qualities on how she puts together a piece of music. Hannah, no, my cat. Never get a black cat. People are gonna watch it. They're gonna send me comments and say, "I have a black cat. How dare you?" No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that she likes to bother me with this. When you have shaking on my laptop, it's because she's pushing her face up.
Okay. Yeah, I had a cat too, so I know all about the things cats do.
So what's the most difficult obstacle you've ever faced, and how did you overcome it?
Like in music terms, it was like being or getting to that point where I wasn't ashamed of myself hearing myself sing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very big thing for me, and why I didn't release so much music in the past, because I always said I can't sing, but this time I had to sing. So I actually, at the first times, I just drank a lot of beer and sang, and then listened to it, because I was so ashamed to listen to that, and it took me a long time to edit it the way that it was, and just to be able to say, okay, it sounds okay, I can release this. And this is an obstacle. I'm very proud that I'm doing this right now. I'm still not the greatest singer in the world, and I probably will never be, but I hope people will still hear the power and love I put into all that, besides of the weird sounding dude singing.
Yeah, this greatest singer in the world kind of thing, and greatest drummer in the world, and greatest guitarist in the world. People have their favorites. Like I was going back and forth on a Facebook post. Someone was talking about a guitarist, and I was saying, well, not my favorite. Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits is a good guitarist, and others are saying, yeah, I like Mark Knopfler, but what about this person? So everyone has their favorites.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, do you think that there's any unusual or impossible to reproduce sounds? And if there's a sound you want to reproduce, how would you go about doing it?
Yeah, reproducing is very hard. I think in if you do like electronic music and stuff like this, it's even harder. But if I want to have like a helicopter sound or stuff like this, I would just record the real thing or try to record the real thing, because trying to reproduce it would just make it. I don't know if you could do it even with the high quality plugins and stuff you have, and microphones and whatever. But now that I say it, maybe it's funnier or cooler to try to reproduce it and come up with new stuff. So the creative process of all this is kind of cool to to try and find new stuff.
Do you think it's cheating to use electronic sounds for guitar and drums than just to really use a real guitar, real drums? Like what's your feelings towards looping?
That's all cool. I don't think that you need to use like especially with drums. I'm a drummer and I use a drum program, and it hurts a little bit as my drummer heart, but I just don't have the space. I don't have the money to buy so many good microphones, and I just can't afford it. And for guys like me who have not a lot of money and do want to make music, this is great. And I use a lot of plugins for guitar sounds and everything. And I think this is great. If I could afford it and if I had the time, I would always use the real stuff, and a real acoustic drum set and miking the guitars and everything. But I think this is something where I could say, okay, this is it's not cheating. I wouldn't call it cheating. If you want to have like an orchestra sound, and of course you can't afford to to go to an orchestra and say, play my stuff. So that's all cool in my opinion. I think you can use that and you should.
It's really I really appreciate Vox and Sticks. They literally play with real instruments on video, and I think when I had them on the podcast, they mentioned that they haven't met yet because both Christina and Greg are married, but they actually showed up in different rooms. So Greg was in a square, like Hollywood squares. Christina was in a square, and it was really amazing. And this wasn't possible 20, 30 years ago. You all had to play live or you didn't play at all. And that's a good thing about the music industry there.
Yeah,
like,
I think so too. Yeah.
And before there were electronics and electronic pianos, like the Roland, for instance, you had to play a real Steinway. You had to play real drums. And that was kind of good music and pure music. But really, basically, to create a song using all these different instruments, even if you do it all electronically, and the person doesn't know how to use or play any instruments, but they create this album which has the guitars, the pianos, the drums, all done electronically. Say, hey, I love this music. It doesn't really matter whether you can play them or not. It's just people have a preference. So if someone has asked you, what kind of music do you play, Joel? And what would you say to them, and what would make them want to listen to your music?
Well, I would just say it's metal music, because it's it's distorted guitars, and I sometimes growl. I have some progressive parts in the EP, not so much. In the upcoming album, there will be a lot more of that stuff. It's really hard to say that for me, but I think I make music that comes from the heart, and you can hear that. And I appreciate if you give it a listen. To support your local artists, I think you should check out Steam Slicer and all the other bands there are. Just check out your neighbor if he's doing music, listen to it, and it means so much to indie artists if just people take their time and listen to it. And it's the greatest gift for me. It is.
Do people from band together reach out to you? Like I know they want to play with you, for instance.
Mm.
I love your music, Joel. Let's I'll play the drums, someone else will do it, and let's work together. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it was fascinating for me that actually people would come to me and say, "Hey, we should do a song together. It would our styles would fit great together," or stuff like this. It's crazy. And I mean the support you get there. It's not just sharing a link. It's genuine, they listen to your
Yep.
music, they write you and say, "Hey, this is very cool. I like this and that." And I was blown away by that genuine support you get, because everyone is in the same boat, and everyone wants to support each other, and this actually changed the way how I listen to music. I'm almost to, I would say, 95% just listening to indie artists right now, and I'm not even listening to bigger bands anymore because it's kind of boring. It's in some ways, and with the indie artists, you never know what you're gonna get because they just do whatever they want, and it's super cool, and you get to discover a lot of amazing talent, and I love that. Yeah.
So we have a couple more questions for you.
Mhm.
What are your interests outside of music?
I do a lot of. You can see that maybe here and all there. I like to play darts.
Darts.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing I do to. When I had a stressful day, I just throw a couple of darts and come down. This is a big thing for me. And then enjoying nature as much as I can, taking walks, riding a bike, and just be outside. This is it's important to me to calm down, and yeah. And the biggest hobby is, it's not a hobby, but it's my family. It's my little boy. It's my girlfriend. Um, this is why I'm here.
Have you ever been outside of Heidelberg? Like, have you been to Berlin or
I even been to
Austria?
Toronto, actually.
You have?
Yes, I've been there for, I think it was 2016.
Really?
I've been there. I did a little Canada tour. I was in Toronto for almost a week, and then from Calgary to Vancouver through the Rocky Mountains. That was
Nice.
amazing. So
That's
if it
awesome.
wouldn't be literally the end of the world or the other side of the pond, and it would take so much time to get there, I would frequently come to visit Canada. It's an amazing country, and yeah, I would love to come back.
So I take it, because of your last name, I take it that it's French is your main language, or
Yeah.
have you learned German?
No, it's French is not my main language. It's just a name. It comes from my father's side. It's a very old, French name. I was born in Germany, and I do not speak. I speak some French words, but not really. I couldn't order a steak in a in a restaurant.
Mhm.
So yeah, just German and English. Yeah.
So fluently?
The English or the
German.
German? Yeah, German is my native language. Yeah.
Ich name Chris. Wo wohnen Sie, Joel? Wie geht es
Ja,
Ihnen
sehr
heute?
gut, sehr gut.
Es geht mir gut, danke.
Very good.
I'm
Yeah.
Well,
Can
I
you
know a
learn a
little bit,
little?
but not enough to carry a conversation. But I'm half Dutch. My mother's born in
Ah,
Hungary.
okay, cool.
She
All
was born in
right.
Budapest, but my dad was born on
Nice.
a little island, Curacao, off Holland there, and he came to Canada in 1948. And my mother came to Canada in 1928, and they met on the tennis court just about an hour from Toronto here. And the rest is history. Here I am,
Mhm.
7 kids
Yeah,
later.
it's cool. Yeah, Dutch
But
is
I'd
very
love to go to
similar to
Germany.
German. Yeah.
I don't know where in Germany I'd go, but I want to go to Curacao, Holland. I want to go to Paris, France. So there's all places I'd like to go, but there's so many countries. It'll take you years to visit them all.
That's true. Yeah, so many beautiful places on Earth. Yeah.
So before we end the stream, oh, by the way, everyone, just as I mentioned before, subscribe to this channel, like, follow Joel de Blois, Stream Slicer. Go to Spotify, and the new album Devenir will be released November, so check that out when it's released. So Joel, any last quotes or any last words of advice for people in my audience?
Listen to this podcast. It's great. I've been going through some of your recent interviews. It's amazing. It's cool to get to know other artists and just see how they are doing. This is great. Thank you very much for doing this.
You're welcome.
There's just one last thing I want to say. I have a single coming from the new album, Devenir, which will be released on September 1st. And this will be the first of 3 singles I will be releasing. And I hope you are enjoying this one because it's the first track and it's the birth kind of track. So very, very important and special for me. And I hope you all will like it. And yeah, you can pre-save it. There's links everywhere in my social media where you can pre-save that.
Is there going to be a music video that I can actually add to this podcast when it's released?
Not yet, but I always wanted to do a lyric video. So let's see if that happens. Maybe I can see if there is someone at Band Together who would help me with that. Yeah, we'll see. I would love to do that. Yeah.
I think Kevin from Fosse Grim Records might be able to help you. I believe that Grimrock, I think Joel, the other Joel from Grimrock might be able to help you. So there's several, like everyone, like they're all willing to help you no matter who it is. Even if you reach out to Christina, I'm like, this is a great group. I'm so glad I'm part of it because I've interviewed a lot of those bands and musicians from Band Together, and there's like thousands. And Michael Botte is also a band in himself. He's the only one. So yeah, you just put band at the end of your name. You call yourself anything, and it's just like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, who said a band has to have more than one person?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joel. I really appreciate you being on our podcast, and thank you very much for the comment regarding the podcast. Just make sure that you let people know about us, and if you have any other bands or musicians out there who's interested in being promoted or being on a podcast, let them know and have them email me and get them on here. I really appreciate that, Joel. And may you have a wonderful... It's 2:16 there, so may you have a wonderful afternoon. And while I'm just starting work, some people are finishing work at 2:16 in the afternoon. So I appreciate that, Joel. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you,
Joel de Blois from Stream Slicer. Take a look at his music. Listen to Echoes of Infinity. Devenir will be released on November 23rd, and the first single from that will be September 1st. So check that out. Thank you very much, Joel. Really appreciate that.
Thanks.
We're going to end the stream. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Set sail.
hands upon your soul. My tears will let your dreams grow. I guard your path with all I have. As long as there is life in me, as long as I breathe.